Welcome back everyone to another JavaScript tutorial. Today I will be covering some of the best places or where you can insert any of your JavaScripts into your website. There's 5 different ways that you can go about doing this. So you can insert the JavaScript into the header, into the body. You can also insert it through an external file, an external URL, as well as an external folder. So some of them you will use more often than others. Some of them are better to use than others. At the end, we'll touch base on some best practices and which way is best for what scenarios. So to start it off, as you can see, I already have the first one here. This is how you insert JavaScript into the header of the website. So you have your header tag here. It's just open and closed. And then on the inside, you have the script. And this just works just like any other time you use JavaScript. So it has your function here, and then you'll be able to call it down here in the body of the tag or the body of the document. On the on click, you have the my function. And then your ID is your demo. So really simple. This next example here is going over how to insert JavaScript into the body. Generally when you do this, you'll put it right before the closing tag. Same example, you got your script here, and on the inside of that you have your function. So keep in mind, one of the differences between these two is that a website loads from the top down. So sometimes if you have a bunch of scripts right at the front of your or at the top of your website, this can cause your page to load slowly because it's going to have to pull in all of these functions and load all these scripts before it can get to the rest of this data here. So that's why one of the old ways to do this used to be to put all of your scripts at right before the closing of the body tag. This would ensure that the rest of your web page will load before it get tied up with and pulling in all these scripts. There's actually a newer and better way to do this that I'll show you guys at the end. The last 3 ways is you can do this through a file. So as you just see, you have your src, and then this is if your file name of your actual JavaScript was called myscript.js. Inside of this file here would be the same code that you see on the body example. So all you do is you just put this code into a separate file, and then you would name it myscript.js, and then you'd be able to pull that in to your file. Now, the next one, of course, is URL. That's if you uploaded your JavaScript onto like a website, you'd be able to pull in the URL of that into your document here. Works the same way. Everything that you saved into that file would also look just like the would here in the body tag or in the body example. This last page will probably be one of the most common ways you pull in your JavaScript. This is through a folder, so src, and then as you can see, you just have /js, that would be the name of the folder, and then myscript, that would be the name of your JavaScript file. So it's not always going to look like this. It would really just depend on what you named your folder and what the name of your JavaScript file was. For example, if you had it in my JavaScripts was the name of your folder, and then inside of that you had functions was the name of your JavaScript file, that's how you would implement that using the folder. So that really touches on the 5 different ways that you can insert JavaScript into your website. Just to recap, you can do it through the header, you can do it through the body, you can pull it in through an external file, an external URL, as well as the external folder. So now that you really know all the different ways that you can insert JavaScript, let's go through some, the benefits of the different ways and what's the best way to do that. So just to kind of give you an example of what happens whenever a website's loading. So it fetches the HTML page, and then it begins parsing all of the HTML. And when the parser encounters a script tag referencing any sort of external script files, then that browser has to request that file. While it's doing that, the parser is not able to keep parsing the rest of the HTML on your page. So it's got to go and load the script that is downloaded, and then that script also has to be executed, and then once all that is completed, then the parser continues to parse the rest of the HTML document. So what this does is this actually leads to a bad user experience, because your website is just going to basically stop loading until it's downloaded all the scripts, and then it's just going to keep waiting and waiting, especially if the scripts are more extensive. So the reason this happens is because any script has the ability to insert HTML. So whenever it's loading and it comes across that script tag, it's going to wait, because you could potentially be changing the the HTML that it's parsing, and it wants to load that in first before it continues on. The old way to get around this was to use the body example here. So instead of loading all of your stuff right into the header of the document, people tried to get around this by loading it into the body. So that way your page could fully load before it would try to pull in these scripts. This sometimes does, especially depending on what kind of scripts you're running, could lead to still a bad user experience through UI functions that are possibly implemented, or other JavaScript functions that don't have a chance to load before the rest of the page actually loads above it. So there is a new way. There's a more modern way to do this, which by now is pretty much fully accepted among most browsers. It's called async, and this is something, just to kind of show you what this looks like, is you could just, so to show you on the folder example here, after you close this off, you would just type in async, and it's really that simple. So what that does is it allows to run the script will be executed as soon as it's downloaded, and it doesn't block the browser. So essentially, before, whenever the parser came across the script file, it would stop loading until it loaded in all those scripts, or it stopped parsing the HTML data until it's loaded in all the scripts. Async, of course, kind of does exactly what it says it does. It allows you to simultaneously keep loading the web page along with loading in the script functions as well. It's only when you're loading very extensive, large JavaScript files that are doing a lot of different things that could actually, anything that's going to hinder the load time, that's when you want to start becoming more intentional about where or how you go about inserting your JavaScript. Other than that, just let me know if you guys have any questions below. If you're having trouble pulling in any of your JavaScript files, if it's not working, comment below. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll have more of these coming in the future.